Color in the clouds, no color in the clouds. And it gets worse. So why do professional colorists always say you can't really color grade on a computer monitor? We're sitting here, we've got some random old HP, I couldn't even tell you what the model number is. We've got the brand new Apple Studio display, which I'm actually a really big fan of, mostly for audio reasons. And then over here, I've got my 702 OLED. You can see me on there right now. Now we can see the thing we're color grading. It's getting a video signal, which means a signal that has been processed to be consistent and to be the same signal. Like, we don't use DeX anymore, but like you go to Netflix, you go to NBC, you go to HBO, they should all be able to have an SDI style video signal. You plug this into the camera, it should be consistent. Now, most computers don't have an SDI output, so we use some sort of monitor adapter. This is like the cheapest thing you can get. It is the $150 Ultra Studio Monitor 3G, Thunderbolt 3 or 4 on one side, SDI and HDMI on the other, and you can plug in your monitor and away you can go. If you can see underneath there, I've actually got an Ultra Studio 4K Mini, which offers some fancier features, but like, if I'm rolling to set, or frankly, I've colored whole features using this. It's a great little tool to give you a consistent image. As you can obviously immediately see, I'm looking at my image up in Resolve, and I'm looking at the image it's putting out, and they don't look the same. The color cast is different. It's a different looking image. This is much bluer, and this is much warmer. This is normal because it's not that the cinema display itself isn't accurate. It's the signal that's going to the cinema display that's not accurate, and that's the difference. So, I've got this same shot up here in Resolve. Let's look at the same shot, Final Cut Pro. Not that different, but way less saturated up in the clouds. You see that? Color in the clouds, no color in the clouds. Right? Different. Same shot, identical shot, same piece of video. Premiere. It's still a darker image in Premiere, less of a darker image in Premiere, a little bit more contrast in the image in Premiere, and a little bit of a color cast difference. So why is that? Every single piece of software is taking your video file and it's interpreting it to make it appear on your computer monitor. And every piece of software does that differently. And it gets worse. It is not just that editing software does this. So we're looking here at Resolve and Premiere, two pieces of editing software. A little bit different, not that different, a little bit different. We go into Final Cut. It's more dramatically different. But I want to note something here. So I'm in Premiere, that's what it looks like. I switch to Resolve. It goes black for a second, and that's what it looks like. It looks identical, it looks the same. Because it is a format. Video, the signal out, which is going to the monitor, is an official signature format. It's a set of standards that are applied to. So even if I'm working in Resolve or Premiere, if I'm going out to a calibrated reference monitor, and the small HD OLED is a calibrated reference monitor. I've had a Klein K10 up probing it with CalMan to make sure it is accurate. It's a very accurate monitor. It's one of the reasons why I love this monitor so much. So when you've got that level of accuracy, the fact that it's different in every software doesn't matter as much, but it gets worse than just video software. So I've got VLC, I've got screen, two different images, same video file. Look at that little bit of sky, different levels of saturation. Look at the building. More light on this one, darker on this one. Look at the bridge, different. Same piece, identical video file, processed differently by two pieces of software. Now I open Chrome up. Same video file. I've got it on YouTube, Frame.io, and Vimeo. Do they all look the same? I'm going to open Resolve up in the background just so I have it back. And beyond do they all look the same? Oh, now I've got to change Resolve so it leaves it open. Back in Chrome. Do any of them look like my external reference video? No. But, do they all look fine? Yeah. Honestly, the thing that looks closest to the reference video, although it's still warmer, is the Frame.io, which isn't a surprise. Frame.io has put a lot of work into looking quite good. But then I've also got my Vimeo, my YouTube, and they all have different color casts. Now let's get even messier. Safari. This is the video on Vimeo in Safari. This is the video on Vimeo in Chrome. Chrome and Safari have video engines that are different from each other. And then you add on top of that Vimeo has a different video engine than YouTube. And on top of that, it becomes the thing of like, you're chasing your own tail. So when people ask me, can I use it for color grading? My objection isn't Apple's fault. I don't, like, I believe that Apple has made it as color accurate as it possibly can when it is in control of what is being shown. However, for our purposes in filmmaking, we have to remember that we're always making something that's going to be evaluated by someone else somewhere. So if I'm delivering to an HBO, to a Netflix, to any other big streamer, if I'm delivering to an NBC, anybody who's still doing broadcast, I want to make sure I'm color grading on some sort of broadcast monitor. And again, you can get broadcast monitors for under $1,000 now. These studio adapters are like $150. So for under $1,000, you can be looking at a pretty accurate image, which you can have faith in is going to look the same app to app to app. Whereas, even with the studio display being as color accurate as it is, and I have every faith in Apple that it is, every piece of software is going to reproduce differently, and that's going to lead to frustrations. So, like, look at this scenario. Let's say I did this color grade, and I was really thorough. I did my color grade looking at it on the small HD, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to put it on Vimeo, open it in Chrome, see how it looks. And then I send it to the client, and the client opens it in Safari, and they say, you know, it looks a little washed out. Can we make the shadows a little darker? And I have only been looking at it here and here, and the shadows aren't, well, the shadows might be a little washed there, but they look quite nice here, they look quite nice there. They do look washy in Safari. So, the lesson I take away from this isn't we can never color grade without a broadcast monitor, because a lot of clients won't even have that broadcast monitor. I've never really worked with a client that, like, over on their end has a broadcast monitor. The lesson you take away is it's all about heavy communication with your client about what they are watching in, and frankly, trying to corral them to watch it in the thing you want them to watch it in. So one of the nice things about things like Frame.io is a Frame.io link. You know, you can say, please open this Frame.io link specifically in Chrome so that you know you have a sense of what they're looking at. Or if they're just Safari people, you can start opening the Frame.io link yourself in Safari and getting a sense of what it looks like based on that. Because it's not Apple's fault that all of the software have different engines. I mean, I guess Apple could dictate it. But the bigger problem is that we have all of this software chaos right now, and no matter how color accurate the monitor is, I'm never going to trust that monitor for complete and total color grading because of the difference I see between every piece of software I open and the difference I see between this preview image and that preview image. Now, this matters more if I'm delivering for NBC, HBO, streaming, and broadcast. If I'm delivering for Instagram, have I done plenty of color grades for Instagram where I'm looking primarily at this reference monitor inside the software? Sure, that is a thing that happens. And I think you're probably going to be happiest doing that on something like an Apple Studio, because as you can see, I go over to my old HP, and like, that's wild, right? That is like a wild difference. And you know, my HP, I didn't invest in my HP as a color grading monitor. I use it for writing and whatnot. But you can see like wildly different in terms of color space. Much more magenta up there in that image. Much flatter in terms of that image. And like literally, I just dragged it over. So do I think the studio display is getting us in range where I feel pretty good about the contrast? There's a color cast difference, but like the contrast is much closer. Yeah. I like that the studio display has much better contrast and a contrast range that is sort of matchable. And that means that, like, if I booked a job that was like 100% it is only finishing for Instagram, would I feel comfortable color grading it on the studio? Yeah, probably. If I've sent something to a client and I've gotten specific notes from them, let's say I did a full day in a suite where I had the calibrated broadcast monitor, and then I have to go back a week later and a client's like, hey, that one shot, I want to crush the blacks a little bit. Would I feel fine doing that on a studio display without going back to the suite to get the broadcast monitor? Yeah, probably. Like, I think that there's power in having the monitor get more and more accurate as time goes along. It's just not infinite power yet. It'll be interesting if either Resolve or Final Cut puts a lot of work into making that in-app viewer really accurate so that that starts matching that. It'll be interesting to see when we get there. But it's way closer than it's ever been in the past. I'm just going to keep dragging it over to the HP from time to time to remind us how, like, miserable that image is. And no fault to HP. I own that monitor. I use it to write on. Like, it's fine for what it is. It's not fine for video. The studio monitor is closer than I've seen a computer monitor get to video. But you're still going to have that software problem to conquer with. So I wouldn't say that, like, invest in this and you can do all of your color grading. I would say that it's getting closer but you're still going to want some sort of like final check broadcast reference that's going to get you more in the ballpark of what you are looking for. And that is why we're not quite color grading on computer monitors, but we're getting super close. I'm doing more videos. I'm trying to respond to the comments. So if you have like another thing where you're like, this is a question I always wanted to ask people, ask it in the comments. This video is a response to some previous comments. Please like, please comment, please subscribe, because I'm supposed to ask you that at the end of videos when I want to make more of them. And I think I'm going to be making more of these because people seem to like them. Hope you guys enjoyed it.